Hey, everybody, welcome in to Day by Day. I am James, and I am with Andrew. And we're a little upset because we just finished watching Nebraska basketball. So we'll get into that. First, you can find us on characterchronicles.com, YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Please subscribe and give us a like if you are also a little frustrated by the officiating in tonight's Husker basketball game. We appreciate you tuning in. All right, Andrew, how are you doing? Let's talk Huskers. I'm pretty raw, and the game ended 15 minutes ago.
Exhausted. I mean, playing Iowa, any sport, name it. Like, we're playing Iowa. We have a big lead, and we end up losing. So I felt like it was a perfect storm. You know, anytime you shoot 50% from the line, the refs are horrendous, yes, but you add that with 50% from the line and a guy going off for what, like 32 and a half, like,
yeah, he did nothing in the first half. I do feel like defensively we really got laxed in the second half.
Yeah,
really did. Really poorly. I'm sure Fred will not be happy. I just think that this is a missed opportunity. You had a chance to get a road conference win. You were up by 15 points in the second half, and they allowed Iowa to inch back into the game. Now, the officiating, that's not why Nebraska lost the game. So people are listening. That's not why. But the officiating was atrocious.
Yeah. Shouldn't have been a factor. It was.
Shouldn't have been a factor. Nebraska makes their free throws. You can say, oh, well, we overcame the bad officiating. But my gosh, the officiating. You know, the Nebraska's down by 1, and a guy double dribbles right in front of the referee. Like, he double dribbles. Like, put 2 hands on the ball. Like, you can't do that. They call that in my son's, 3rd grade basketball. Like, that's a double dribble.
Yeah. Call it what it is. I mean, should have been our ball with the opportunity to win.
24 seconds left. We get the last shot. Maybe we don't hit it, but that game, it bothers me though. I'm bothered. I'm bothered by this loss.
Yeah.
You were looking at 13-2 and a road win. You would have been for second in the league. And you just didn't have that kill. They just didn't step on their throat, That's what bothers me. But it just seemed like
they did. Yeah, they stepped on ours, which was
And it just seemed like there were again several guys out there who weren't, the lack of urgency was startling.
Yeah,
I thought
Gary looked tired. Gary was kind of just throwing up shots in the paint that I think he
missed a ton of shots.
I think a lot of our guys were just begging for, not literally, like they weren't really complaining.
No, yeah.
But they were, hey, they got to be calling a foul at some point here. But then again, would they have made their free throws? So,
yeah, that was weird because, I mean, that's an outlier, right? Like, we've been such a good free throw shooting team. I don't know. You don't know. Like, and Raleigh had some just badly missed free throws.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at the statistics here. I mean, anytime, Iowa made 17 3-pointers. That's what they do. That's what they do. And I don't know why, I understand our defense and how it works. I understand, we crash on the baseline. When the ball gets, when the ball's down low, we crash and we make teams hit threes, and they hit them almost 50%.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, we shoot 50% from the free throw line. That's not going to win you the games. And then we only made 9 threes. We were at 40%, which is not bad.
Yeah. But make our free throws and we win in regulation. I mean, that's kind of that easy.
Yeah. There were just, and again, I go back to officiating because it's still a part of the game. Those 3 guys, those 3 officials are on the floor. I know Gary had to drive to the baseline, and the guy's sliding right into him and just completely takes Juwan out. Yeah, checks him with his chest.
Yep.
And they just call ball out of bounds, Nebraska ball, inbound the ball. And you're like, that's not a basketball play. That's a foul. You can't do that. You can't impede a ball handler's as he's driving to the hoop, you can't impede him. So I'm like, I'm kind of struggling. Like, I'm at a loss for words. Like, what do you say? What do you say? Berke went up straight with two hands, blocks the ball, all ball, and is called for a foul.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we don't even know what a foul is.
I felt like the refs were playing off the emotion of the crowds. You had a lot of booing. You had a lot of, it was it was an atmosphere that was kind of it was obviously conducive for Iowa, but it was like you had Iowa fans, players, and refs kind of, I think, impacted by that environment a little bit. And
Yeah.
I know you saw Scott Docterman's tweet.
Yep.
I had to check. I'm like, is this a fake account? Because Scott Docterman is saying like this was kind of a job against Nebraska. So
yeah, and if you guys didn't see that, so he's the kind of the Iowa beat writer. Well, he's a national college football reporter, but he was, I think he did cover Iowa sports.
Yeah.
He said this, I say this with extreme impartiality, and I'm home, not there. I don't think I've seen a road team get screwed this bad in a long time. How they miss a double dribble and some of the fouls is ridiculous. And it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It's bad. And I think one of the reasons Big Ten teams struggle to win on the road is the officiating is so biased toward home teams.
Yeah.
That it's, any kind of run you give up, you miss a shot here or there, you don't hit your free throws, you can't overcome that.
Yeah.
You can't overcome that.
And we won't pretend that it doesn't happen sometimes in our favor. Like you said,
at home,
20 game win streak at home. Like,
yep.
I'm sure we were the beneficiaries of some of that, but it's so
100%.
frustrating too that, they say winning on the road is so difficult in conference, and you want that to be about because you're playing a really tough team.
And like, I'm not saying it. We're not saying, it's a foul disparity thing. That's not the issue. The issue is not foul disparity. The issue is, will you be consistent in what is or is not a foul? Will you call a foul when it actually is a foul?
Yeah.
Will you call a double dribble that happens right in front of you?
Yeah. Will you not choose the moments to call things based on the energy of the crowd or what's on the clock?
This happened on our home court, but let's go back to the game the other night. I guess it was a while ago now at UCLA last Saturday. So Bryce gets called for a flagrant 1 because he reached out and impeded a runner on a fast break.
Yeah.
Later in the game, the was it Bilodeau? I don't know how to pronounce his name. Yeah. He actually pushes
2-hand shoves. Yeah.
2-hand shoves. Our player, I can't remember if it was Morgan or Mia or who was it? Berke pushes him with 2 hands and then acts like, oh my gosh, why did I get called for a foul? Well, then tonight against Iowa, Sam stole the ball, kind of pushed it away. And then the Iowa guy reaches out and impedes him with his hand. And I'm like, why isn't that a flagrant 1?
Yeah.
So like, again, the inconsistency from the UCLA game with the push, and then this is like, you reach out. What are we calling? Yep. Like, let's just all make sure we're on the same page, that we're playing the same sport. We're all playing basketball here. We know what is a foul and what's not a foul. But if you don't know that, you can't overcome it.
And refs should not. I just feel like the emotions, like the swings and the crowd's in it, and there's a lot of action going on. It's just sometimes they swallow that whistle because
they do.
Ooh, the crowd's going to erupt, or the other coach is going to whine because we know Mr. What's his bucket likes to whine the refs. So I don't know.
I know. Yeah, frustrating. Frustrating game.
That's what it is. Yeah.
I mean, the season's not over. I had this chalked up as a loss to Nebraska back when I looked through their schedule. So I'm not surprised in terms of the big picture. It doesn't change my thinking in terms of, are they going to, make the tournament or not? I think they're a tournament team. I tweeted this. People probably get mad at me. I tweeted, Nebraska's the better team. It's time to finish Iowa. The Nebraska clearly was the better team. But again, playing at home, the refs, the crowd, whatever. Mick Cronin, crowds do matter, even for the 20 people who were at the Iowa game. Man, what a set! Tuesday night in Iowa, like holy cow! Like
Yeah.
your arena wasn't even a quarter filled.
Yeah.
So it doesn't change my view of the team. What it does do is it frustrates me that you didn't have the killer instinct to put a team away when you could have put them away.
What you need to see now is that they learn from it. If I had, looking at the schedule, okay, if you can split this, if you split Iowa Purdue, now obviously going on to Purdue, that's looking really difficult. But you want to see some, whether it's that game or the next tough road test when the odds are or when things are sort of falling apart against you.
I mean, now you got to show up against Purdue, and you have to, don't get down on yourself, put up a fight. Obviously, if you were to say, hey, split 1 of 2 against Iowa and Purdue, I'd say, well, I'd rather have the Purdue victory because that's going to matter more, come March.
Yeah.
They can do it. They can play with any team. But again, if they let up their defensive intensity, they didn't have great intensity at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
They didn't. And then probably halfway through the first half, they really picked it up, and then they lost it again. It's like, if you can maintain that focus and play, you're one of the best defenses in the country.
Yeah.
But you can't let up, man. You can't let up.
On the Mick Cronin comment, I think at home, that's a lot easier to do when that crowd's behind you.
They feed off the crowd. I
Yep.
know. I mean, they gave up 97 points. Only 31 in the first half. They gave up 45 in the second half. Again, all those threes. What frustrates me is just and 30 to 1 guy, and then the other guy, Dix, like, dude averages 13 and a half points a game, and I just exited out. I don't know what he had for the game, but he was lighting it up, and it's like, please guard the tall, pasty white guy. Like, guard him. Give them buckets down low. That's fine. They're not going to beat you that way.
Yeah.
They're going to beat you around the arc, and that's just what they did. Same thing they did last year. They just blew us out last year.
The half glass full it's one of the learn from it games. Stuff it. Learn from it. Let it help you, down the road.
I hate that though.
Late February.
Man, so that would have been a nice one to get. You had it in your grasp.
Yeah.
Got to get it.
Now on a little four game run now again.
It'd be nice. Yeah, they got Purdue coming up, and then who after that?
You got Maryland, USC in there. Rutgers.
Maryland's good. Yeah. I mean, really, the next 4, you got to go 2-2. It'd be nice to go 3-1.
Yeah.
Right.
Pick up
but you got to go 2-2.
Yeah.
At least. So frustrating. All right. So we're going off the cuff here because we watched the game. We didn't do a lot of prep. I'm curious what you want to talk about. Actually, let's talk about this before we get into it. We're starting a new website, a new Husker fan site. It's a newsletter. So if you don't follow us, we want to just give a plug for this. So I've had this passion for a while that Nebraska fan sites would be a little different than your run of the mill, post-game recap, game preview, and then kind of all the sites regurgitating what all of the local media or national media are reporting about Husker sports. So it was just kind of a wild hair. I texted Andrew and Mike, Husker Mike, who was on a couple weeks ago, and I was just like, hey, here's an idea that I have, is it stupid? And both of you guys were like separately, like, no, that's not stupid. Like, I think it's a great idea. And so we launched a site on Monday through Substack called Through These Gates. So shout out to Mike for the name. I love the name. throughthesegates.substack.com. And it's going to be a place for Husker fans to produce content, everything from game analysis, X's and O's, coaching, philosophy, leadership, culture, fan memories, history, fan experience. What does it mean to be a fan? Something I talk about a lot, we've talked about here, is kind of like fan psychology, like how do fans think? And so there'll be humor, there'll be serious stuff. Like, it is the full gamut. And my goal is for it to be the kind of the largest fan site in terms of the number of contributors on the internet. Like, I would love that. There's a lot of fan sites out there. I write for one, but there's only a few of us here. There's a few of us over there. And it's like, it's always the same voices. And so I just love that, you know, we probably got like 9 or 10 people right now who will be writing at some point. And I think we're cooking up some fun stuff, especially this first month. So I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So throughthesegates.substack.com. You can also follow the new Twitter handle we started, which is at TTG Husker. So find us on Twitter.
Yep.
So I know you've talked about how you love writing, and and I do too, but you want to really to just express your thoughts on all things Nebraska through writing. So how excited are you? What are you looking forward to doing?
Yeah.
Do you have any topics you're thinking about writing about? What are some of the things you're processing?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm big into, what's kind of not out there, where are the gaps and those type of things. And I think as Husker fans and as alumni, and there's a lot of storytelling that could be told, as far as just, I have all the memories from the, 30 some football games I've been to in my life, that, there's a lot more that just, that was part of that experience than just what happened there on the field. So, even myself right now, I think I'm going to look for something here in the next few days, just moving as a transplant, moving to another state, experiencing a little bit of like the disconnect, that there's nobody that has any enthusiasm for Husker sports where I live. So that's hard, but also sitting with my family watching a stressful basketball game on a Tuesday night, that means so much too. So I'm going to write something a little bit like that. But yeah, I love it like that. And I think some of the thoughts both of us really, value, I think, young people and some of the stories that you see, some of the behind the scenes or outside the lines type stories that happen with players and coaches. So I'd like to highlight some of those things as well.
I think what's cool is, at least for what we're trying to put together, is we have some people who will be pretty young who are writing. They're in their early to mid 20s. We're embarking on, our early 40s here.
Yep.
I'd like to get some other people who are even older. And I just think, seeing different generations of Nebraska fans in one space can be pretty cool. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Also, I like that it's on Substack. I don't know if we'll stay there for long, but it's ad free. It's free to subscribe, by the way. We're not charging for any premium content at this point. Maybe we will in the future, but there's no ads. It's a really sleek look if you're not familiar with Substack. So like a lot of times you go to a website, you read sports content and you're like, man, you're just scrolling through ads and it's annoying. So it's like here, it's like, it's beautiful. It's simple. It's clean. I'm thrilled. I'm excited for it. So I wrote an article. I actually have a couple up there. Mike has one, and we'll have some more stuff throughout this month that we'll be putting out there. So subscribe, follow. I think if you're listening and watching, I think you're going to really enjoy it. It's going to be good. All right. You want to talk some football?
Let's do it. A little bit happening.
Thoughts on the transfer portal? I try to pay attention. I am. There's a lot happening, man. It's just a lot. It's like, but I mean, thoughts on transfers in, transfers out.
Yeah. Well,
who you like, what you're hoping still Nebraska will bring in from the portal.
If you haven't read James' first article on Substack on Through These Gates, it's about the Kool-Aid, the Roulade, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I succumb to that every year. So, transfer portal right now has me feeling really excited. I think 3 new coordinators is super exciting. Yet to be seen who that special teams guy is going to be. But I texted or I tweeted James and Husker Mike the other day. I'm like, does it feel like we're kind of better across the board? And I mean, look at some of the guys they're bringing in, like McCullough and the kid from Georgia Southern. Like, they're shoring up some key, some of those spots where we lost guys with like experience and productivity. Like, you look at some of the numbers these guys have. So I'm feeling good, and I know that
Yep.
it sounds like we're maybe reeling in a tackle or two or a lineman or two. So I feel like that would really complete it at this point.
That's the thing. It's like I think Rule's done everything you could ask.
Yeah.
In terms of coaching, who they're bringing on the staff, recruiting. I know people are freaking out about offensive linemen, but I really think they like that room. You got a lot of young guys. They will not turn down somebody who wants to come in from the portal. But if they don't bring in an offensive lineman, they're going to roll with the guys they got.
They've recruited really well since Donnie has been
They
on.
have.
And so they've got young guys in the hopper there.
I mean, the reality is they are not going to start any player who does not have significant snaps from this year.
Yeah.
Like every guy who was a backup or a starter, like they had significant snaps this year.
Mm-hmm. And I think Rule's just so smart. He has his pulse on everything that goes on in college sports. So I think as fans, we can feel like we can at least trust that. Again, I mean, he's addressed almost every deficiency we had this year as far as like personnel wise and coaching wise. But you look at what Indiana did. You look at even like a team like Notre Dame has a lot of transfers. I think and Rule knows that has to be the formula to sort of win now or win this year, next year.
Yep. He's
filled his team with guys like that can come in and, hey, like it's last chance for 15 of these guys so far that have transferred.
That's good. That's a good point.
So
who do you think will be the next special teams coordinator?
I've heard two names, so it's like
that's all we've heard. Yeah,
Bill Bush or Mike Eckler.
Yeah, it'd probably be neither one.
Yeah, neither one. Eckler can jump really high. I remember that. His celebrations with players, but I don't necessarily have a preference. I think that obviously Bill Bush is kind of everyone's quick reaction. Get Bill Bush, get Bill Bush. So, which he'd be great, but who knows? I'm sure Rule's got some guy that he's got so many connections. And
I don't think he's in a hurry either.
Yeah.
We want the hire to be made right now. I think it'll happen before spring ball, but you still have the NFL season happening.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it'll be a pro coach.
You're not necessarily like fighting against a recruiting timeline or something.
No. Especially, I mean, you have your long snapper, you have your kicker, you have your punter. It's interesting, to read some of what Bill Bush said. I think there was an article in the World Herald. I think it was the World Herald. Chattel, that's right. And Bush said, the key is to get guys excited about special teams and to talk about what their role can be and get everybody on the same page to create alignment. And I've said for a long time, like, man, special teams to me is 90% effort, right? 90% hustle and want to. There's scheme, right? You got to block the right direction on a punt. You have to have the right angle on a kick coverage, right? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it is about want to and hustle and focus, right? Attention to details. That's all culture stuff. And for whatever reason, Ed just couldn't get it done. Like, seems like a great guy. I hope he becomes an ambassador for Nebraska football and stays on staff and has a role, working as a liaison with high school coaches. Seems like that'd be a great fit for him. Just didn't get it done on the field. Yeah. Almost anybody Matt Rule hires is going to be better. It can't get much worse, right?
Some of the I was listening to Husker Online, Sean Callahan, Sipple. They're talking about like 10 blocked kicks / punts in a year is just insane. Like they were talking about Mike Eckler, and they gave up 4 in 4 years, something like that. We gave up 10 in 1 year.
10 in 1 year.
The impact
10 in 1 year.
So
yeah, so I'm excited. I think that Nebraska's gonna, they're gonna make improvements in special teams.
Mm-hmm.
If you can steal, I would say 3 to 6, 7 points on special teams in terms of yardage, right? Whether it's a return or, a long field goal, a punt that is, down inside the 5-yard line, then you get a safety or you get a fumble or a pick six, like that kind of stuff. Like if you can do that, you're going to win games.
Yeah.
So
I don't know how you get, so I'm thinking more of the Kool-Aid, but you're going to improve on special teams. That's safe to say. Defense, if they can stay the same, at least into next year, I mean, they have the pieces. And then offense, Dylan's going to improve in some decision-making and in hitting some deep throws and running. I would assume that that's going to be a focus.
I don't even care if they improve on defense. I mean, I want them to.
Right.
But I think if you can improve enough on offense, but just keep pace defensively, even if you're 2 to 4 points per game worse, if you're 10 points better on offense per game, you're going to win 9 games.
Yeah. And I think,
and then the special teams, right? If you can improve, let's not just be average. Let's be good. Let's be a top 40, a top 30 special teams unit.
Yeah. My one thing with all of it is it's just you got to gel. Can they get the guys to gel and play together?
That's it.
Not have agendas and all of that. And so that's, I guess, where you trust rules judgment.
I mean, we're going to know in the first game if they return a punt.
Yep.
Can we return? Let's make punt returns great again.
Yeah. Can receive some separation.
I've been, tweeting Matt Rule that for a few years now. Let's make punt returns great again. I don't know if he'll listen to me. So, all right. Anything else going on that we should cover?
I feel like it's kind of, we're thick of basketball season. It's like, what? Yeah.
I'm in basketball mode. By the way, I know they played number 8 Florida, but number 1 Tennessee lost by about 1 million points tonight.
Yeah.
Which actually makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
You don't lose that game because of officials, but it was on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to win on the road. Tennessee goes down 73-43 against Florida.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like their Michigan State game. That was Tennessee's first loss. It's tough to win on the road, man.
It is. And overtime loss on the road, having that on your resume is certainly not as bad as a 40-point loss to Michigan State on the road. So
no, it's not a bad loss.
Right.
It's a bad loss in that we were up by 15 points and you should have closed it out. It's bad emotionally, right? In terms of the metrics, the analytics for the resume, it's not a bad loss. On the road, it'll probably end up being a quad 1 loss.
Yeah. It's bad as Husker fans because it's that gold and black team.
It's triggering.
The East.
It's the gold and black team. We are winning. Don't do yourselves a favor. Do not go to ESPN.com and look at the win probability chart. I did. Might have ruined my night. So don't
having you
look
over the last 12 years not to look at
don't go look.
Football.
Don't look at the win probability chart. Don't go do it. Save yourself the trouble. So
somewhere out there, Matt Schick tweeted, I don't see any what was the one from a few years ago? I don't see any way.
It's kind of like
this game. Yeah.
Given the way this game is going, I don't see a way that Nebraska loses this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Darn you, Matt Schick. So, all right. Should we wrap it up?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Again, subscribe to the show, comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the game tonight, and go to the Substack through these gates and subscribe. I guarantee you will get some content there that you're not going to get anywhere else.
Yep. And
hopefully you'll enjoy it. So, all right, Andrew. Always good to chat. Always good to commiserate with you. This is my therapy time. My wife acted like it was no big deal that Nebraska lost this game. I'm just kidding. She was, it was funny. Like, she came upstairs. I said we were ending and we're not. She came upstairs after saying goodnight to our girls. And then I was like, we're blowing out Iowa. She's like, as we should. And then half hour later, she's like, are we, how's it going? I was like, we're down by 1.
Yeah.
And, and then Bryce hits the 3 and you get your hopes up and you're like,
yeah,
why do I care so much?
Then they performed like a Nebraska football team does in overtime. So,
I mean, we didn't score for a minute and a half. And I was like, what is it with Nebraska men's sports in overtime?
Yep.
Score the ball. All right. We'll call it a night. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. As always, we appreciate you. Go Big Red, even when we lose to the black and gold team. So go Big Red. All right, Andrew. Thanks, man. We'll talk to you next time.